What's up, lords and ladies? Welcome back to another video on this channel. So in today's video, we're gonna be reviewing this rock heater, which is basically a heat rock by ZooMed. So this right here, or this, I don't know if it's this product in particular, but heat rocks have been getting so much hate in the reptile community for the longest time, since I could remember. So this right here happens to be one that I purchased. As you can see, it's still in the package, and the whole reason why I purchased it was because I wanted to see what it was all about. I really want to just put it to the test and plug it in and see what it actually does. I've been hearing so much horror stories and so much bad reviews about it, and people saying that it would burn your reptiles, and I see bearded dragons here, and it made me wonder if people actually use this for their reptiles. Personally, I've never used one, so I can not really give you so much of a review. I just heard people tell me stories, but I really wanted to put it to the test because ZooMed is a very, I would say it's a very good, reliable source to buy your products, and for them to put something out there for your reptiles that isn't safe doesn't sound like something that they would do, because look at that. It literally says save your reptiles. So why would they make something like this if it's going to harm your reptiles? So I really just wanted to put it to the test and see what this whole thing is about. But with that being said, let's just get started with the review. Let's go.
I don't really care cause I'm done. All the real love is not fun. There's no emotion on my face cause I'm numb. You see me everywhere you look, no you can't hide or run. Yeah, everything I said, messing with your head, messing with your head. I said everything I said, messing with your head, messing with your
Okay, so I'm doing this like montage type of thing, just to be a little bit more creative with my videos, but I'm not gonna lie, this is just a rock, but it literally looks like something that I would actually cut and eat. Like, it looks like a pastry. I don't know if it's just because I'm fat, but like, look how it opens. I'm not gonna lie, the packaging is pretty cool just for it being a rock. Like, the display and everything got me. Look at that. That's literally just a clay or rock material type of thing. But the packaging, I gotta say, it's pretty cool. I might keep this just because it has bearded dragons and everything. Like, this looks legit. Alright, Wilbur, what do you think about your new rock? Okay, he looks very confused. But I'm not actually gonna use it on my bearded dragons or anything like that, just in case it's not safe. I've heard some horror stories, but of course I needed to see what my bearded dragons would think of it. I don't think it makes that much of a difference. Aesthetically, it looks pretty neat. I'm not gonna lie, it does chip away, so that might be a problem with these sharp edges, but I think if you were to sand it down a little bit, it should be fine. Underneath it, it just gives you that ZooMed Labs. It gives you, I guess, like the stamp of them. And if you look at it, it has this wire sticking out. So based off just looking at the box, you would see that all the heating elements are inside. It looks like they're using some sort of heat tape. I could be mistaken. I should be reading the instruction a little bit more, but they do have some sort of heating element inside of this clay material. It already started chipping away, so it does feel more like clay. So when it comes to this type of thing, anything that you're using when it comes to heating or keeping your reptiles nice and warm, you always want to make sure that it's safe, because things like this could heat up really, really hot, and they could even malfunction. And what I've heard is that this, when it breaks, it usually breaks on the on switch. So it basically turns on to the max, and it just gets really, really hot to the point where it starts to burn. So if that's the case, then that's not good. If it has a malfunction, from time to time, these types of things can break. And if it has a on switch and it turns on instead of off, then that's not good. So technically, once I plug this in, this rock should start to heat up and get warm. Now, like I said, the problem with that is that there's no real way of controlling the heat of the rock. So it could reach up to, excuse me, it should reach anywhere between 90 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So, you know, that should be nice and warm for a bearded dragon and other reptiles. However, having a rock that's really hot that goes underneath them isn't probably the smartest thing, because reptiles, they're not the greatest when it comes to judgment of heat. So if the area, and Wilbur over here is kind of getting mad, but if the area is getting warm and it gets a little bit too warm and it gets too warm and it gets too warm, the reptile might not know it's too hot until it's too late, and it might burn itself. So if it's underneath him, you know, by the time he realizes, okay, it's way too warm here, I better move, it might be too late. And if you notice, bearded dragons have a lot more of a harder kind of surface on top of them that could, you know, take that heat, where their belly really can't take that much heat, because I would assume that it's just a lot thinner than the top area. But other reptiles, they should be fine with underbelly heating. You know, so for bearded dragons, they love to bask. I wouldn't recommend putting some sort of under, you know, belly heating unless it's with a heat mat connected to a thermostat and you really need to because your room's too cold. And if your room's too cold, maybe you should worry about getting a space heater and warming up that ambient temperature. So heat rocks, technically they play a role like an under tank belly heater, but they're a rock. And when it comes to this type of things, that's where things could be a little bit unsafe, because now you're putting the heat element basically inside of the enclosure. All these wirings, water could spill, you know, this could now become a safety hazard. Whoa, Wilbur, you knocked everything over. What's going on, dude? Okay, we need to put Wilbur back. Okay, so I replaced Wilbur with Brienne over here. But on the box, you know, it does give you some, you know, instructions. Like it says that you could use it for pythons, boas, king snakes, rat snakes, gopher snakes, bearded dragons, monitor lizards, tegu lizards, uromastic lizards, and it just gives you a good solid list of, you know, reptiles that require a lot of heat. Now, if you look, it also says not to be used as a primary heat source for tropical or desert type reptiles. So just based off that information, they're kind of saving themselves by saying, you know, don't use this as a primary source. But I don't know, there's so much about it that you know, I've heard just bad reviews and bad, you know, things about it, that it could just get too hot. So even though, you know, there's some instructions here on how to use it, so far I haven't really read anything that, you know, yells out red flag. You know, they're giving pretty good solid instructions on how to use it. They've even given you a, you know, kind of diaphragm or you know, some pictures that you could use. Like it says, do not wrap the rock with things, because I get it, it might actually possibly burn. If you put tape, I don't know why you would put tape, or what is that? Is that like a sock? But if you put something around it, you know, it could potentially burn that, as well as it shows right here, do not put it right underneath the heat source. So it's more of a spot, you know, in the cooler side that they could go on and bask on. And trust me, the idea sounds perfect. Like if this for some reason could work for some, I don't know, it just sounds like something I could see why someone was like, hey, this is a good idea, because, you know, a rock that just heats up on itself, you know, I'm pretty sure some reptiles could like it. But the whole thing about it is that this thing, there's no real way to control the heat. And yeah, you could connect it to a thermostat and maybe that could control the heat, but do you really want to spend another extra, you know, $50, or I don't know what the cheapest thermostat costs, but, you know, some thermostats, the ones that I use, could cost anywhere, you know, $100 plus. So do you really want to get a separate thermostat just for a heating rock when there's so many other better heating sources out there that are way more affordable and way much better? So right now, what I'm doing is, I guess I'm just reading the rest. Like I said, doesn't sound like anything bad is on the actual page. Like everything sounds pretty good. It sounds like I can see why they would say this is a good idea. But what I've done here is I've actually plugged it in, and we're gonna see how hot this actually gets. So I'll be back maybe in a couple of hours and just get with a thermostat or with I'll get a temperature gun and I would actually see how hot this actually gets, and we'll go from there.
Why are you crying?
Alright, so it's been about an hour and a half. Now this should technically be at the hottest point right now. Just feeling it by touching it, it is nice and warm, but it definitely is not hot to that point where I feel like it's burning me. So you can see I'm placing my hand on it and I don't feel it. Underneath it, it doesn't feel like it's, well, it's slightly warm, but overall the rock just feels warm. It does not feel burning hot like I thought it would. Like any other heating elements like heat tape, that thing just gets hotter and hotter and hotter. So I have this temperature gun and I'm going to basically place it right where I think is the middle, as well as the hottest point where I felt it. So just by placing it, you could see that it gets about 90, 91. And this surface of the table is 79. My hand, damn, I'm a pretty hot guy. My hand is already 90, so I can see why, you know, this did not feel really hot, but it does seem like this point right here is the hottest, 93, and there's no other area that is hotter than that. Oh, 94. Let's see. Oh, we're going up. So I could definitely see this reaching, you know, 100. We had a 96 there. So based off just this alone, it seems pretty straightforward to use, and it doesn't seem like it gets hot. But based off what people are saying is that if you look at it, it is basically just plugged straight into the wall, and this would go inside of your tank and enclosure. Now, when it comes to heating elements or anything that just plugs straight to the wall and connects to your, you know, enclosure, even heat mats, they could basically start to wear out and break, which eventually, if that's the case, sometimes they break and it just continues to heat. So even though this stays roughly at a temperature, there's been times where heat mats, they just, you know, heat up to the max, and there's no way that you could really tell unless you start smelling something that's burnt, or even your reptile gets burnt from it. So there's been stories out there of people saying that heat rocks, they're very similar. Something happens, this thing over time, it breaks and it just gets really hot. Personally, I've never owned one to experience that. I've never used one. Based off just by feeling this, it's not getting really hot like how most people say it does. Even though it does reach 90, I could still place my hand here and it doesn't feel like I'm burning. But then again, my hand is already at, you know, 90. So with that being said, I would say that this alone, you know, is maybe not as bad as most people would say it is, but I would definitely take, you know, that advice that people are saying that, you know, there's way more better heating elements that are safer to use, especially if this is the case where all you do is plug it in, because the proper, I guess, way would be to plug it into a thermostat, you put the probe on top, but that's so much work and it kind of kills the purpose of this whole entire thing. If you're gonna do all that, you might as well just get an under tank heater and do it properly. The rock itself, you know, you have to clean it. What if the bearded dragon poops on it? There's all these crevices, and trust me, bearded dragons will poop on something like this, a rock like this, so cleaning it might not be the easiest thing to do. And over time, if this does break and it's just directly plugged into the wall, it might just spike all the way up and burn your reptile, which I would not want anyone to experience that. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about heat rocks? Have you guys ever used it? Are you using it? And just give some advice in the comment section down below. This is just a review. I'm not going to be using this product, mostly because I personally don't need it. All my other enclosures are set up differently, so I'm not gonna really know too much unless I actually use it, but I think I'm gonna listen to the stories and just play it safe and go with other heating elements out there. But let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about heat rocks, if this is something worth purchasing. This alone, I believe it cost me $36 or $38, so it is pricey for a rock that just heats up, and it might potentially not be safe. So $38 for a rock, I think I will pass, even though I bought this. So definitely smash that thumbs up, like button. That way I could be purchasing more things for this channel to review. Also in the comment section down below, let me know what I should review too, because there's so many products out there that people have kind of mixed reviews about. And heat rocks was one on my list that I wanted to review, but let me know in the comment section down below what do you guys want me to review next. But I think for now, that is it for this video. Like I said, this alone, just feeling it for the first time, doesn't seem like it will be bad, but overall, I think eventually this might not be good because it's just directly plugged in to the wall. And if you are going to get a thermostat and do all of that probe on top and everything, you might as well go with something a little bit more affordable than $38. And if you're also going to be getting something like this, yeah, your reptile is going to poop all over this, and it's going to be kind of difficult to clean, and it already started to chip away. So for me, I'm going to pass on it, even though I bought it, but probably won't use it. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think? But for now, I'm Lord of Lion. Keep the blood pumping. This was my product review. We'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.
You gotta hit that notification, hit that notification, hit that notification button, baby. You gotta hit that notification, hit that notification.